Well, hey there, Southern Oregon. Welcome back to the Real Estate Show. So happy you could join us again. I'm Alice Lema, broker John L. Scott here in beautiful Southern Oregon. I'm your host of the Real Estate Show. And today we're going to be talking to one of my favorite business development people and tech heads, Dave Tribbett of V3 Consulting Services. Dave does business and organizational development. And, you know, with hyperinflation, a lot of the trauma we had to our businesses because of the fires and also the COVID, Dave is the perfect person to help us get back to it. He's also great at helping people start businesses. So Dave Tribbett of V3 Consulting is going to be our guest today. He's going to bring us up to speed on what he's been doing and how he can help you start a business, scale a business, just make the business more efficient. And it's not all about technology or digitizing. It's also about other things you can do to give better services to your customers. So Dave Tribbett of V3 Consulting is going to be our guest today. Let's take a quick look at what's gone on in our local housing market this week. I'm so happy to say in Jackson and Josephine County this week, we had 270 new listings, 165 closed properties, and 281 price changes. So a lot going on. Our market is absorbing all the changes. The buyers and sellers are trying to get together and make something happen. I want to say huge congratulations to the 165 folks that closed on a real estate transaction this week in Jackson or Josephine County. It feels great, doesn't it? Whether you're buying or selling or both, it's just so nice to have that new step in your life. So congratulations to all involved. On some national real estate gossip, we've got Elvis Presley's abandoned childhood home going on the market in Tupelo, Mississippi. The auction starting price is going to be between $30,000 and $50,000. I don't normally talk about stuff like that, but I thought it was interesting. I did not know that Elvis had an abandoned childhood home in Tupelo, Mississippi, and I thought 30 to 50 grand was an awesome starting place. So if you ever wanted to own a piece of Elvis, there you go. It's online. You can just Google Elvis childhood abandoned home. Boom, there it is. Also this week in Sacramento, California, Ronald Reagan's homes, one of Ronald Reagan's homes, went on the market for $5 million. So if you're not looking for a $50,000 property, you can find a $5 million in Sacramento. Ronald Reagan's home went on the market in Sacramento for $5 million this week. So every once in a while, we'll throw in some gossip just to mix it up because sometimes it's fun just to talk about that stuff. Okay, so we've got a quick break coming up, and then we're going to join Dave Tribbett of V3 Consulting Services. Do not touch that dial. Well, welcome back to the Real Estate Show, folks. I'm Alice Lema. I'm a broker here in beautiful Southern Oregon with John L. Scott Real Estate. And today we're so excited to be talking to Dave Tribbett from 3V Consulting. Thanks, Dave, for coming back on the show. It's been a while.
It has, and I still remember that fondly at first visit that I had with you and Pete and Frank. Yeah.
Well, Pete's retired.
Okay. A lot of people have in the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's kind of the thing to do. But I'm so excited to get caught up with you. You're just one of my favorite technology gurus. Why don't you just remind people what 3V Consulting is, and let's go from there.
Yeah, so V3 Consulting is, we started in 2017. And prior to that, I was working coast to coast with doing business and organizational development. So basically, a lot of entrepreneurs, they do a thing well, but they don't know all of the other pieces that go into that. So we come and we help put those pieces together, train employees, build training systems, do all kinds of stuff as far as that goes. And so in 2017, that the founding of V3 Consulting Services, the point was to have scalable business intelligence because it wasn't something that we were seeing a lot in the Valley, and that leaves a lot of our businesses vulnerable to any number of things as far as competition goes.
So what is scalable business intelligence?
Yeah, you know, a good example is a company that I probably about 4 years ago did a walkthrough and basic evaluation of. And I asked them, how are you using your data? What does that mean to your company? What are your growth, KPIs and other key metrics that companies would use? And so scalable business intelligence is using the right amount of data and other elements to help a company or organization have steady growth.
Which is something we all want, especially post-pandemic. So let's just go backwards a little bit, because it's been a while since we've talked to you. How did you and the businesses that you help, how did everybody do during the shutdowns?
I would say that it was a very, very difficult time. It really depended on the business. Even though things were very difficult for companies that had consumable products, food, beverages, but it's still at its core is things that we needed. So I would broadly speak, not specifically just to the businesses that we work with, if that's okay. It's also how businesses were resetting, how they were realigning what it is that they offered. And there was a lot of that within the community locally and nationally as well. So I would say that the companies that we work with and deal with, a lot of them had significant growth, and some of the companies that we dealt with are not around anymore. And out of that proverbial aftermath or ash, many new companies were born out of that as well.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, technology certainly has a much bigger place in businesses now. And a lot of people are still not adopting very quickly, or they don't understand, or there's some fear. How does 3V help people make that leap into digitization?
Yeah, it's a great question. It really starts with a deep dive and evaluation into the organization and what it is that their goals and best options are. Some things can be pretty easy as far as, well, we're on Zoom right now. And that was something that a lot of companies didn't use previously. And other technologies around utilization of things like CRMs, different types of automation within their companies. There was actually a really interesting project we were working on with a local company that they did everything by hand. It was all paper documents and stuff. We came in and I brought in some extremely talented individuals along with myself and built out custom digital documents, databases for them, built kind of a web app hybrid, and really were able to do some pretty dynamic things with that organization. And even the step above that is utilization of things like, switching from QuickBooks Desktop to online, being able to tie in certain automations. And it really makes the workflow much more efficient and lets the business owner and the employees really focus on the client a lot more.
It frees up a lot of time, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you could even think, you have these paper documents, you have to enter it into the computer, then you have to enter it into QuickBooks, and you actually there are some very streamlined automations that could actually be used, and they're, I think by today's standards, very secure.
So one of the things I noticed during the fires were that the companies and the humans, the people that had digitized and had a lot of their workload on the cloud, which is some of what you're referring to, they didn't miss a beat, and they actually got their insurance checks faster.
Yeah. And I was talking with an individual and they were saying, because they're in finance, they were saying how even now, prior to the fires and stuff, a lot of the individual small businesses, sole proprietors, still did a lot of everything like paper ledgers and stuff like that.
For their bookkeeping on paper?
If they weren't backing up to the cloud, they didn't have, a backup that was stored in a safe place. And actually, in this interview, I'm excited to share some of the stuff coming up with the expo, but maybe just in a little bit as far as that goes, because we'll be setting some great standards for local companies. But yeah, that made a huge difference as far as a lot of the local companies go.
So when someone comes to you and they're doing things on paper, what does the conversation sound like about the time that you get back and the human energy that you get back? What does that conversation sound like?
Yeah. Well, and again, just reflecting back, it really goes into why they want to make the changes and stuff like that they are. There is some fear and trepidation around digital systems because have been done for so long. And a lot of companies, in truth, that I talk to, they don't really even realize how much they will gain from actually implementing some of the new technologies now. Whereas maybe it was 20 or 30 hours of bookkeeping, and now maybe with a couple of integrations, maybe a couple hours a week. And it
Wow.
really is a massive shift. So if they're not spending all that time there, they're dealing and focusing more on customers,
Mm-hmm.
increase profitability, hiring more employees. It really does free them up to do some pretty amazing things. But it starts with a deep dive into why they want to change things and what they
Mm-hmm.
want to change.
So what's the most common reason somebody might say they want to change? Like, what's the biggest complaint?
Well, a lot of the companies are just that time factor. You know, just the time alone of going out to service a customer, use paper documents, coming back, doing all of the bookkeeping and all of the other work that goes into that. You see exponential increases in company growth, profitability, scalability, and also it lets them be able to track and realign maybe universal selling propositions, KPIs, key performance indicators, and all of these things are possible to do with technologies that really are not that difficult to deal with, but maybe just are unfamiliar.
Yeah, yeah. And it is a big leap if your security is with pen and paper. But since we primarily talk about real estate, um, do you ever have little mom and pop landlord folks, or do you have any suggestions for creating some digital transformation for either a landlord or a real estate agent? A lot of real estate agents listen to
Yeah.
us.
Well, I hate to speak in very, generalized terms, but getting the time back lets you spend more time with your customers. And some
Mm-hmm.
of the integrations can be as simple as, you know, not only just going from paper to digital, but having all of that data so that as your company grows, um, just going from like just a couple simple things. You go from paper and pencil or desktop QuickBooks to QuickBooks Online. They have things called APIs that will let you link into other technologies. So those are pretty simple steps and stuff as far as that goes. And then some of the greatest benefits is that you may see part of your business dropping off but not know why. But in
Aha.
digital terms, you're able to actually understand trends and you can visualize this data and opportunity in different markets. And you're able to layer things like census data and all kinds of amazing stuff. And you can look out over the entire valley and you can see where you're having penetration, where you're not. And all of
Wow.
that all starts with utilizing some cloud-based and digital services because it cascades through all these different systems, then can be linked in to empower you, your company, your organization, not just to save time, but to exponentially increase profitability and really have a good idea of growth trajectory and stability.
Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of business owners, they really love their business and they love their clients so much. And they want to do a better job every day than they did before. So one of the things I'm hearing you say is going into some of these newer systems actually allows you to spend time helping the people that need you.
Yeah. Instead of doing book work, you're out meeting with your new friend, you're out meeting with your new customer, you're touching
Mm-hmm.
bases with them. And these systems can all talk to each other so that if you pull a report or something like that, you're not going through 1,000,000,001 emails. You're going through you're going through critical information that can be compiled in a much easier way. And also, like you were saying, just reflecting back on the fires, you needed all of your documents, you needed your P&Ls, you needed all that information and stuff like that. And so sometimes change can be uncertain or a little frustrating at times, but individuals such as myself and the phenomenal individuals that I work with are there to help through that, right?
Well, and you're one of my favorite techie people. You're so fun to talk to. And you also have a nice way of, making it relatable to the everyday person. So in the little bit we have left before our next break, when someone comes to you and says, let's do the examination, do you start online or do you actually go visit them?
As often as possible, we go and we'll meet with them. We really work with the individual and kind of what their schedule is, what their preference is. Meeting with them in person is a much better connection for sure, but we actually will meet those customers or clients where they are.
Oh, that's good. So your experience is not completely digital.
No, not at all.
Some human interaction. So we've got to take a quick break, folks. We're talking to Dave Tribbett of 3V Consulting Services, Business and Organizational Development. We'll be right back. Well, hi again, everybody, and welcome back to the Real Estate Show. I'm Alice Lema here with John L. Scott in beautiful Southern Oregon. I'm a broker locally, and we're talking to Dave Tribbett of 3V Consulting Services. He does business and organizational development. He's also one of my favorite tech heads, but he's also just a great human. And right before the break, we were talking about Dave, we were talking about some of the things that you're working on, and you have some really exciting announcements. Let's talk about what you're doing next.
Yeah. So, for a long time, I think a lot of great individuals, organizations, and a lot of great efforts have been put into growing innovation in our community. And I don't know how many people are aware, but in last biennium, that'd be 2021, 2022, Oregon granted $1.5 million to Business Oregon to then put out grants to regional communities to research what those communities specifically need to build regional innovation hubs. And so that process has gone through, and we've submitted the grant application. And I'm just really super excited to see, and now it says dual county, so Jackson and Josephine County will be researching what it is our community really needs to grow.
So what is a regional, what did you call it? Regional information hub?
Innovation.
Yeah,
regional innovation.
What is that?
Some of it, thanks for the question. Some of that goes back to Oregon wanting to position themselves as a more favorable place for business. And some people may be aware Oregon released a 10-year innovation plan, and as an aspect of the 10-year innovation plan, and I'd be happy to share any of these links and stuff if that's helpful.
Yeah.
Out of that created the grants. And then once the grant money comes into our area, I'll be one of a group of about 7 to 10. And then we'll be working with a consulting agency doing amazing work in their community to really answer those questions and those needs that we have in our community moving forward.
So is this a physical location?
That's a great question. We don't really exactly know what will fit for our communities best. It could be a physical location. And later in this, interview, I'd like to share a little bit about what we're doing with Soren, and that will be a physical location. But as far as this piece goes, as far as the regional innovation hubs, people have ideas, but there isn't a solidified plan that will work well for both Jackson and Josephine County currently.
And both of our counties are a big mix. We have people who are super digital, all ages. We have 80 and 90-year-olds that are more digital than I am. And then we have, people that are not, and they're proud of it. So having a physical location I think would be handy, but I would vote for complete virtual.
Yeah. I think it's going to be both. I know for what we're doing with Soren, it will be physical because proximity is key to success.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were a young person or an individual of any age in the Valley and you looked up to somebody that was an innovator and you had a chance to come face to face with them for a few minutes, that would, pretty radically change your life to
Mm-hmm.
push through the difficult times and whatever it is that you were doing. So proximity really is important, but the virtual allows for a more decentralized kind of network throughout the Valley of all kinds of important work that's being done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and our geography is so big. That virtual would be helpful. What do you think about Starlink, Elon Musk's, just a tangent briefly, his
Yeah.
new satellite system coming to our Valley?
So I I think it's pretty interesting. I have some friends and business associates in the area, and one of them were out on a cool evening, sipping some wonderful wine here from the Rogue Valley, and they looked up and they saw this alien invasion going across the sky, and they had
Did
to
they
tell
really?
everybody. Yeah, because one of the biggest complaints and all of that I have seen is that they don't like the reflective nature of the solar panels
Oh,
interfering with like the night sky. But
oh,
technology wise, I think it's wonderful. My uncle was a lead system designer with NASA, and he's part of a small aerospace firm now, and I think they're in Arizona. But he actually worked on one of the first arrays, which is the Iridium array, which was Motorola. And that didn't exactly go the way that they had wanted, but it's fascinating. It's helping a lot of people in
it is in the
rural
rural
areas.
districts. Yeah, and they really need it. It's amazing. So then, how that changes real estate is location is not that meaningful anymore.
Yeah,
And quite frankly, before the shutdown, I thought that's what was going to be the game changer, not a pandemic. So
yeah,
yeah.
you
So
know,
anyway, going back to Soren, you keep mentioning that, and we
yeah,
haven't really talked about what that is. Let's bring people up to speed. It's very exciting.
yeah. Um, so Soren started as a mastermind back in 2017, looking at disruptive technologies at scale that will impact all of our lives. And we invited a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds. And out of that, with MIT and Forbes and all of these different publications and think tanks saying that up to, and they said they don't guarantee this, but up to 51% of the global workforce could be automated if some people were concerned about that. And so out of that, I started actually doing research into how these things would impact our communities.
Mm-hmm.
And travel, tourism, hospitality, quality of life in our area, it's wonderful. But if we go into a more tech-driven economy, which we are, the whole world is, the positioning needed to change a little bit. And some of those changes and stuff like that would come through STEM education, which is one of the core pillars, improved STEM education and STEM, opportunities. In that, we opened this up to Jackson, Josephine, and Klamath County. We're doing a 7-month Python coding and data science boot camp.
Oh,
We're
wow.
Yeah, in the top
Wow.
10 careers like in the world, it's like coding and data science skills are in the top 3.
Yep. Wow.
So that class is going very well. We're always looking for individuals to support and grants as far as that goes, and you can always visit sorin.charity, and there's a lot of ways you can connect, but we want to keep these things free to the community. And the target was 17 to 22-year-olds. They're all doing fantastic. And on the other side, we're working on paid internships and jobs to improve
Wow.
retention. So that's
Wow. And we
a
need
little
that
bit.
so desperately. It's one of the problems of our economic situation here is we just don't have tech. We don't have tech people. We don't have tech companies.
Yeah.
Why would a tech company want to relocate here?
Yeah. We actually, and I hear that quite a bit, but we actually do. Out of like top 25 tech companies, 20 like technologies, IoT, and um, micro circuit design or road micro devices, and we have a lot of companies and stuff. But the thing
Here in
is
Southern
that,
Oregon?
oh yeah, Rogue Micro Devices, Diode Laser Concepts. We have Cummins, which their focus was embedded systems, power systems and stuff. That used to be Bramo. So we do have companies great companies located here. The issue is a lot of people don't necessarily know about them. And how many people can they continue to take on every single year when we're training these individuals? So we're working on some very special things. And hopefully I'll be able to talk about the Business Expo that is going to be on August 4th from 9 till 3 at the Rogue Valley Country Club. But this is a one-day event. Next year, it's going to a multi-day event.
Oh,
It's going to be
nice.
amazing. But
Nice.
specifically about Soren, so improve STEM education, workforce development and retention, and some specialized things we're designing for local businesses and startups to support them.
Wow. If we could get more of our entrepreneur type candidates to take that step and get some traction and be successful, that would be huge to our community, especially since we lost so many businesses. It's like, what are they going to do next?
Yeah. And one of the why we focused on because education alone is enough, but it wasn't a chicken or an egg kind of thing. We need to have stellar educational opportunities to recruit companies and individuals. We need to have upskilled workforce that are retained here so that they have workforce. It is across the board. Like these three pillars are crucial to, the way that I put it, Soren, as collaborative innovation. Right. So we're working with all of the companies and we're filling in and adding value where we can.
Oh, that's awesome. So are you pretty busy?
Yes. I'm a husband, and a father, and the nonprofit and businesses. And I'm also about to launch a new technology coming out of beta as well. So.
Oh, are you allowed to talk about that?
Yeah, we can talk about that a little
Okay.
bit. Yeah.
All right. Well, spill the beans.
So if anybody is curious, visit V3connect. So V as in Victor, numeral 3connect.com. That's kind of like a B2B service side of but we're doing things a little bit differently. So if you visit there, the members of the platform and stuff get quality referrals, marketing, and then of course it feeds into the Business Expo, V3connect Business Expo. But what we're actually doing there is I'm designing some very special things. If you have a product or service that you offer, that's one connection. If you have a deep connection, it's things like, shared interests and hobbies and all these different things. We're designing a system that will create long-lasting relationships. So we're not talking about just a one-off, which is fine to business, but we're looking at the lifetime value relationship much more with what we're building for companies.
It's like online dating for businesses.
Nobody's put it that way, but that's hilarious. Yeah,
that's because you're married. So this is, I have it up here. It's just a beautiful, beautiful website. V3 Victor 3 connect.com, folks. Really, really beautiful. What an amazing idea. So when is that coming out of beta, Dave?
So probably in the next couple of weeks, we'll be out of beta and scaling that in the community and being able to onboard, almost any type of business that you can think about and connect them with, long-term, the ideal clients.
Okay. Can I join?
We'll definitely talk about that for sure.
Awesome. I'll put in my request. Well, folks, we're talking to Dave Tribbett, 3V Consulting Services, Business Organizational Development. Very, very interesting conversation. We're going to have to take a quick break here, but we want to say thank you to our sponsors, Rogue Valley Association of Realtors, also known as ARVAR, John L. Scott, Medford and Ashland, and Guy Giles, Churchill Mortgage. This program will be repeated on Sunday at 6 p.m. And we thank you for joining us. We're going to be back with Dave Tribbett of 3V Consulting and some really interesting things that are going to be happening in our valley with technology and business. So don't go away. Well, welcome back, everybody, to the Real Estate Show. Alice Lema, broker John L. Scott, here in beautiful Southern Oregon, talking with Dave Tribbett of Victor 3 Consulting. I was saying it backwards, Victor 3. And he's one of my favorite guests. So I know it's V3 services, building business and organizational development and technology, making that connection and helping people do really cool things. So we were talking about Soren, which is your 501(c), and that's kind of getting off the ground. And then you mentioned briefly in the last segment something going on at the country club. What's happening there?
Yeah. So starting in 2019, we had the first Business Expo. So it's a V3connect Business Expo. This year, I'd also mention that it's supporting our 501(c)(3), so we can actually provide more grants and whatnot for the boot camps and training and stuff like that we're doing in the area. So we're super excited to be out at the Rogue Valley Country Club. That's going to be on August 4th, and we're going to be there from 9 to 3. We are bringing in some fascinating individuals that'll be there for vendors, and we hope to see everybody that is able to make it out. And we're going to have 5 presenters.
Wow.
One is an individual who at some point you may like to talk with him. Actually, he's fascinating. At his core, he's an entrepreneur, family man, connected in the community and everything. And he is going to share his story. It was originally a YouTube challenge about helping create a very specific type of mobile business and help them to grow their companies to 6 figures in 12 months.
Wow.
So in 18 months, using what he was teaching, he's grown an organization to nearly 3 million.
Wow.
In what it is that he's teaching. So he'll be actually presenting on building a business on difficult times.
And what's his name?
You can put me right on the spot, huh?
Oh, I'm sorry. That's phenomenal. Okay. So that presenter
Cutler
will be there.
No, he's phenomenal. Ed Cutler. He's absolutely amazing. And he's about to launch a new technology out of beta as well. And some of that will be showcased at the event. And then we'll have building a brand that matters. And that's going to be David Masters, phenomenal individual. And then we're going to have a presentation we're going to be ideally getting somebody from La Clinica and their data side of what it is they do, presenting on the most useful data to businesses. Then we'll be working with somebody ideally with a very long background of data security. And I still have to finalize that one, so I don't want to mention his name. But hopefully our keynote is going to be an individual who's become a very good friend of mine. She lives here locally. She started with M&A when she was 17 years old. She's a published author. She's developed technologies also around helping companies have a smooth transition process upon selling and so on and so forth. She's absolutely amazing. We're going to be doing teasers in our V3connect LinkedIn and our V3connect Facebook. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So we'll tease a little bit of this out. And then we have people coming from all different directions to be at the expo to add value, network, and just connect with other like-minded individuals and entrepreneurs.
Yeah, it's so helpful if you run a small business or you want to start a business, being around other business people, whether they're in your field or not. It really is inspiring, and it's helpful to share those ideas. And it is hard. It's hard to be a business right now.
Yeah. And a lot of the networking events prior to, if anybody ever put together a networking event, you know how much work it is. A lot of those organizations are not in the near term going to come back with an in-person event. So this is very unique.
That's true.
Yeah. So we're going to have, amazing variety of companies that are going to be there. Their sole focus to share what they do and try to see if they're able to add value to what it is that you and your listeners do.
That's wonderful. And that's August 4th at the Country Club in Medford. Okay, very cool. And it's 9 to 3.
It's going to be 9 a.m. till 3 p.m. Yes.
Okay, perfect. And how much is it to go to that?
Well, right now, and that's a great question, I can share the link with you. If people pre-register, tickets are $7. 100% of the ticket,
Just
uh,
seven?
$7. Yeah, $7. So normal ticket is 10, but if I share this code with you and your listeners, you get a discount code. Those go on sale tomorrow, actually.
Oh,
So
that's
tickets will
great.
come on sale tomorrow, 8
Okay.
a.m.
Okay. And are you going to tell us the code?
It's a very long code, so if it's
Okay.
okay, I can share it with you, and then hopefully it'll be on the post.
It will.
It's also shared through our V3connect LinkedIn, and it's also on our V3connect Facebook page as well. But it's a
Okay.
super long Eventbrite link. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Okay. And what about live streaming? Are you going to live stream?
that's a good question. I know the event is going to be
I would pay
video and
$7 just to be able to
audio
do
and
that.
yeah, so we'll see what we end up doing. Last time it was pictures, audio, and video recording. That would be fun to live stream. I'm gonna need to talk
Yeah,
to
but live
somebody
stream is
about that.
tricky, right?
It can be for
It's not a
sure.
perfect science.
Yeah, it can be for sure. But I'm so excited about like where this is going. And next year, like I said, it's gonna be a multi-day event. And we're gonna have, I mean, the plan is to have amazing speakers, even more vendors. We're planning to have workshops, breakout sessions, training for local business and
Oh, that'll be
entrepreneurs.
helpful.
We're
That's great.
planning, and we're also planning, and I don't know how this will come together yet, but we're planning on doing launching some special services that are really needed in our area, and we're planning on maybe doing like a pitch contest with grants for the winners of that. So
Uh-huh.
we're planning on doing some really cool
Like
stuff.
a
We'll
like a
see.
mini Shark Tank sort of,
We'll
but for grants.
we'll see how that all comes together, but we're super excited about that.
Yeah, that's great. Well, and that's what we need. We need people who can practice,
Mhm.
before they do their
Yeah.
real
Yeah.
presentation.
And ideally, we'll team up with local organizations. It won't be all, we're not recreating the wheel. So we'd like to incorporate as many local organizations, companies as possible into the work that we're doing there.
Mhm. Well, there's
Yeah.
a lot of hidden talent in Southern Oregon. I'm always shocked to find out, so and so started this business and now it's like everywhere in the world. And
Yeah.
yeah, we're a very
It,
creative bunch, very resilient bunch here in Southern Oregon.
isn't that an amazing, yeah, that is such a great point. We don't know necessarily all of the amazing companies. We don't necessarily know all of the amazing talent. And for many years, people tell me, and this is, I'm hearing from the community, the businesses don't think the talent's here. So sometimes they
Right.
relocate, and the talent doesn't think the jobs are here. So they relocate. We need to retain and build this valley, and not everything is going to be high tech, high touch, but we are going to meet the needs and partner with individuals to meet the needs of our community in amazing ways.
Well, that integration will be helpful because that is the opinion of most everybody. There's no good jobs and there's no talent, especially in the tech. So you've cleared that up for me today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would say that it's not necessarily true, but there are a lot of things that we're working on and that we plan to partner with people to improve things exponentially for our community overall, because current and future generations have an important role to play.
Well, and then we get to stay here, and then all these people get to stay here too. So,
Yep.
Dave Tribbett, V3 Consulting Services, quick phone number.
Phone number to reach me is 541-727-2632. You can
And we'll
also
put your website on because we got to go. Sorry, folks. See you next time.